raw, extreme,
scratchy.
We're Guide to the Unknown, and these are our Ghost Adventures. Welcome to Guide to the Unknown's Ghost Adventures. I'm Will.
And I'm his big sister, Kristen.
And welcome back. Now we're watching the actual first episode of Ghost Adventures, where they inspect all the hauntings that happen at Bobby Mackey's Music World in Kentucky.
That's right. Had you ever heard of this place before?
I think I'd only heard about it in connection with Ghost Adventures.
Okay.
I think I must have looked into the Ghost Adventures back catalog before. Mm-hmm. Maybe even, we've been talking about doing this show for so long, maybe I even tried to see what we really have in front of us.
Right.
So it sounded familiar, but I couldn't claim to know anything about it.
I didn't really know anything about it either. I know that another ghost show on the Travel Channel, Portals to Hell, with Jack Osbourne and Katrina Weidman, went there in their first season. And I think I watched it. I didn't really remember it, though. So I went into this pretty fresh.
Okay. Well, Portals to Hell, if they went there, it makes sense, because this place is known as Hell's Gate.
Right.
Which may be a portal between our world and the demon world. Bobby Mackey's Music World is evidently super, super demonically haunted.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk all about it. We're going to go through our Ghost Adventures superlatives, play of the game, most dramatic moment, best quote.
That's right. We're going to issue awards to our friends in this episode and point out our favorite moments and quote-unquote favorite moments.
Yeah, but before we do all that, if you're new to Ghost Adventures, you're just like everybody else. This is a brand new podcast. You can find all of our stuff on gttupod.com. Kristen and I are podcasters, a brother-sister duo. We've been doing podcasts together for, at this point, like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Something like that. Primarily, we do a show. Our mothership show is called Guide to the Unknown, where we talk about the paranormal urban legends with a pop culture bent. And this is a sort of spin-off show because we're big fans of Zak Bagans. So we encourage all of you to watch the show itself,
yes.
Ghost Adventures. You can find it in a number of places. The Travel Channel app has them all.
Yep, and you can mirror that to your TV. That's what I did.
I watched it on YouTube TV. There are plenty of legitimate ways that you can watch Ghost Adventures so that you're all caught up on everything that happens. We're going to do a little bit of a recap, but primarily we're here to react to the show as we saw it.
Right, so we're just going to assume that you guys have a literacy with the episode rather than walking you through it. So you might want to watch it yourself so you can enjoy it fully along with us.
Oh, and enjoy it. I did.
Me too.
This was a wild show.
It truly is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a little pre-written recap of the episode that hits kind of the broader points of it. And then Will and I are going to go through and issue our awards to our guys.
Yes.
So here goes. A warning to our patrons. This establishment is purported to be haunted. Management is not responsible and cannot be held liable for any actions of any ghosts/spirits on this premises. So begins the first episode of Ghost Adventures, where our crew investigates Bobby Mackey's Music World, a haunted bar in Kentucky with a dark history. The most infamous part of its lore is that it was the site of a grisly satanic offering. A young girl named Pearl Bryan is said to have been murdered by 2 men who threw her head down a well in a blood sacrifice on the premises, creating a gateway to hell. There's also the legend of the pregnant dancer Joanna, who poisoned herself and died after her father murdered her lover, Robert Randall. In the episode, they note that Bobby Mackey's mother changed his name a couple of days after his birth to Robert Randall Mackey. Coincidence or possible reincarnation/fate? The Ghost Adventures crew talks to staff members, collecting accounts of hauntings, including a 6-hour exorcism, during which someone was possessed and tried to strangle the priest. They hear accounts of voices, the jukebox playing when it's unplugged, mysterious bangs, etc. Pretty standard, like, haunted stuff. The boys go into lockdown mode to investigate, and when they do, they hear the sound of a woman crying, Joanna, and a male voice seeming to say, precious one, as well as the sound of a male singing or humming. But it's not all ditties and comfort. Zach is scratched, Nick is interrupted by bangs while taking a pee-pee, and they can't wait for the morning to come. The next day, Zach reviews their footage with a priest trained in demonology who advises them to stop what they're doing. Stop? They're just getting started.
Oh my God. Incredible work, Kristen.
Thank you.
You know, when Nick was interrupted by that ghost while taking a pee-pee, he didn't even have time to button his fly.
I know. He came out and he's like, I don't have time to button my fly.
I didn't even button my fly. That's how terrified I am.
Exactly. I find they compete with each other over who's the most scared a lot, which is kind of surprising given their like tough guy bro-ish nature. But one of them will be like, I was so scared. And another one's like, dude, I'm so scared. I have freaking goosebumps right now.
I have check out my arms. One of the first things that they do, and we'll get into it.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know
honestly,
what?
I'll use this as my superlative lead-in.
Yes,
So Kristen and
let's do
I
that.
are going to be examining Ghost Adventures through awarding different superlatives. Not unlike when you were in high school or something that was most likely to succeed. These are the top moments, sort of the plays of the game.
Yes.
So let's call them, and we'll get right into how they try to outdo each other in our first superlative.
Okay.
Most convincing piece of evidence.
Most convincing piece of evidence.
Okay, you found the goosebumps the most convincing?
Well, it's not that I found them convincing of paranormal activity. I was really charmed in this episode by acknowledging, really for the first time myself, how much they're all about this life.
They love it.
They
They
love
really
it.
are dedicated to
Yes.
it. Yes.
So
they're having the times of their lives, I think, during this.
They really seem to be.
Yeah.
So it's Zak Bagans, Aaron Goodwin, and Nick Groff.
Right. And so this is the original cast, but it changes over the years. I've never gone back this far.
Yeah.
I haven't seen these first episodes. I came in just like a couple of years ago or something. So I was interested to see this. I know I've heard about Nick Groff and him leaving and people being upset because I guess he is a ghost investigator that a lot of people really respect, as I understand it. And I could be wrong. But yeah, interesting to see.
Well, for sure, I want to give the most convincing piece of evidence for how much I feel like they are invested in this, because this is a little bit weird, honestly. I mean, this is more weird about me than anything else. There were a couple of moments in this episode where they would get that sort of like, bro, you're scared? I'm scared. And at a certain point, Nick going like, look at the goosebumps on my arm. And they zoom in on his arms and they're all standing around in a little triangle going like, the hairs on your arm are standing on end. Whoa, bro. But
loving it.
Honestly, like the footage, it did look like the dude was covered in goosebumps.
Yes, no, I think he legitimately was.
I, as a primarily a skeptic, I'm prepared to like look at it and see just a normal arm and have them tell me it's goosebumps, and
Right.
most of the world just takes it for granted.
Right.
But you could actually see it, and I was like, oh, they're actually going through a physical thing here.
Yes.
And there was even a moment later on where they're looking at the well in the basement, the well room, and Zach starts going like, can't wait. I want to come back here at 3 a.m.
Yes.
I want to come back here at 3 a.m. and sit right here. And he looks at the camera and his pupils are huge.
He's
And I was like,
stoked.
this guy is like amped right
He's
now.
both looking at the camera and looking at his friend holding the camera, being like, can you believe this is rules?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that there's a lot of criticism about Zak Bagans faking stuff or playing things up, but I don't think in any way that he's faking his actual enthusiasm for this stuff or belief in it.
Really, after this
you know?
episode, I agreed. I think in the first episode of this podcast we did about the documentary, there were some things that felt like, oh, well, we're going to do this because we can make a name or something. Honestly, the reason I'm giving this most convincing piece of evidence, it's going to be very hard, I think, for me to find any ghost material to prove to me that there are ghosts. I would
This
love
was
it.
a tough category for me.
Yeah, I would love to have something that I'm like, oh, well, that's the best.
Right.
But honestly, the thing that sold me here was on these three guys, which is important because they're going to be the anchoring,
Yes.
constant through each episode that we watch.
Yes,
So
there are narrators. They
their
take
physical
us through.
transformation and enthusiasm was the most convincing moment of the episode for me.
I think that's a really good thing to point out. I went in a more like evidence they captured
Yes.
sort of
No,
direction.
and I think that's appropriate. That's where I should land ever after from here on, I think.
But I think that is a really good point to make because that scene also stood out to me and I really liked it.
I liked
it
them.
was like humanizing.
Yeah.
It validates their excitement about this whole thing. And it's not just dudes making a show because ghost shows are popular. So this came out in 2008 and it really was the first like aggressive kind of ghost hunting show. There have been a lot since, but the ghost show landscape was a lot more barren when this came out. It was like ghost hunters, maybe a couple of other things, but it wasn't really dudes yelling at ghosts in the way that it is now. I think that this is genuinely their personality.
Did they pioneer
Yes.
aggro ghost hunters?
Yes.
Is that a thing outside of Ghost Adventures?
Yes.
I have not seen those.
Yeah, there is. I mean, not to the same extent, and I can't even name check anything, but I feel like there are Ghost Adventures kinds of knockoffs with aggro dudes yelling at ghosts.
Interesting.
I think, you know what? Now that I'm saying that, now I'm concerned that I'm not right.
People tell us. Let us know who are the aggro ghost hunters. I want to see them if they're out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I have the feeling that they are, but maybe I'm incorrect.
Let me know.
But either way, even if there aren't spin-offs, I feel that for better or worse, this is just their genuine personality and approach. And they say in the episode that they're going to deliberately try to rouse these ghosts by being aggressive. Mm-hmm. So it made me wonder how much is personality and how much is obviously showbiz tactic, but how much of this is just like actual results driven tactic? Because Will, you and I have talked about before on Guides to the Unknown and privately, Zak Bagans seems like a lamb in real life.
I am stunned. So we have a long history, and I'll stop parroting this because at a certain point it's just going to become too repetitive. But we've long, I don't think we're the only ones by any stretch of the imagination, but Zak Bagans, to most people, is the Bam Margera of the paranormal world.
Yeah.
Right? He's the, who's that dark magician?
Chris Angel of
the paranormal community. And so I kind of always viewed Zak Bagans as the ghost bro because it is his persona. But now I follow him on Twitter. I've turned a major corner and I genuinely like him.
Yes.
Genuinely like him. I don't know if I believe in the evidence that he is finding.
Right.
But I like watching him and I find him to be very charismatic and enjoyable.
Yes, he seems like a kind and charming man in real life. I don't see him like picking fights at bars and things like that. So it made me wonder, is this a specific tactic to get ghost results?
Right.
Is it like, okay, we have to provoke them, we have to anger them in order to get results, so I'm going to come in with my chest out like this, but it's not really what their personality is.
Which is interesting because you think of like people who are trying to conduct seances or contact the spirit world as being respectful and quiet and, are you there? We don't mean to harm you. Bagans busts through the door with like, did you do this to these people?
William, your cadence of him is really good.
It's always this?
You're right.
Yeah.
He's taken out a whole new door.
He sure
I don't think that we've seen this before. And I don't know, just interesting because it seems so in conflict from what I see of him and them in real life. Aaron in real life makes like really cool art, like little Disney replicas and stuff. It's just interesting. And I'm sure some people could say, and maybe they're right, and it can be both, by the way. It can be that they're doing this to get famous or whatever, and that it gets
works.
attention for them to, be the ghost bros. It's a different thing. They need to take paranormal shows in a different angle. Maybe it's some of that. Or maybe it's some of, okay, this is how we can provoke. We need to try this way.
Yeah.
Just interesting.
Okay, so
anyway, my most convincing piece of evidence, both of the pieces that I put on here end with a question mark because I didn't find anything very convincing in this. I said maybe the crying sounds they picked up.
I liked that.
Shadow Man? Question mark.
Shadow Man stunk. I'm going to put him in my Hokiest moment, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Most convincing piece of evidence. Here are the ones that I wrote down that are really the evidence, supposedly. So all the physical stuff, I feel burning, the hair on my arms, whatever. Hearing Johanna singing up in the rafters, Nick getting attacked in the bathroom, El Baño. They hear a man singing after the bathroom incident, just kind of going like, whoa.
Right.
I like that after Zak gets scratched on his back, they catch an orb shooting away from his back. If I had to go with ghost stuff that I found the most convincing, I think that would be mine. The fact that Zak gets 3 scratches down his back. Of course, they could have pre-planned it. They could have given him scratches.
I know.
But that in conjunction with seeing an orb shoot away from his back.
Spot.
Again, I don't believe that means it was a ghost. But
I know.
In terms of like most convincing, it was just fun serendipity if it's nothing, which I believe it is.
Yes.
But
yes.
Most convincing for sure. And then, yes, yours, as you mentioned, Nick alone gets EVPs of Pearl Bryan crying and then a male voice that says, "Precious, no."
Right.
So you're going with that one.
Yes.
I liked that one quite a bit.
I think there's a Precious one.
Precious, no.
Maybe I'm wrong. Okay.
Precious, no.
Precious, no. That
Almost
makes more
like
sense.
keep it down, a little more controlling.
Ah.
Pearl's crying and trying to reach out.
Yeah.
Precious, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, William, now let's move on to Hokiest moment.
Hokiest moment.
So this is kind of the flip side of the most convincing evidence, things that they presented as being a big deal, but we don't think they were. I'm going to cede the floor to you first.
Yeah, this one's tricky because there are so many options. They interview a man named Carl Lawson, who is the man that was supposedly possessed and went through an exorcism.
Right.
At one point, it's played for like spookiness, but he goes like, I laughed when they talked about doing an exorcism. I was like, boo ha 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 ha. Boo ha ha ha.
You're like, I don't believe this evidence. That's not how a person laughs.
When is anybody like that?
Boo ha ha ha.
A different guy, Rich Lawson, saw a ghost in the bathroom and heard it repeat the words die game, die game, die game.
Yeah, what does that mean? I was wondering if they were going to come back to that and that it fits anything, but it didn't seem to.
I'll come back to that because I did some research.
Oh.
Now, I might have to bump this out of my Hokiest moment.
Okay.
So Rich Lawson sees a ghost and then, again, played for spookiness. He had a handlebar mustache, which means it might have been one of the two killers of Pearl Bryan.
Right.
And then he said the phrase, repeating it, die game, die game, die game. Now, I almost thought maybe that's backwards or something.
Oh.
But to your point, they never revisited it. I don't know.
Right.
I Googled it. A die game. It's a phrase. To die bravely and still be fighting.
Oh, so like you're game and you're dying.
Yeah, die game. I'm going down, but I'm not done yet. Which the folklore around these figures, which one would this have been? This would have been Alonzo Walling.
Yeah.
Who
one of the supposed killers of Pearl Bryan.
Who apparently made some, Vigo the Carpathian proclamation that he'll haunt this place forevermore. For him to come back and say die game, meaning I may be dead, but I'm not done yet, is actually kind of cool. And the fact that they don't say that in the episode, but I found it later, actually gives it more validity to me than anything else.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There's another moment where they're outside the well room and they say that a statue of Jesus fell over and its head came off.
Yes, I agree.
I think that might be my number one because Zach goes like, how could its head have fallen off?
How could this thing have possibly broken?
It's weird for it to fall and just break off of it. Except that if a statue falls, the neck is the thinnest and therefore the most structurally weak part of the statue. Of
course. It makes complete sense. Our mom had a statue of like St. Francis or something that's head broke off.
Yeah.
And I glued it back together. And I think we put some sort of like little teeny decorative wreath around it to try to hide the glue.
There you go. Dad had a Sherlock Holmes chess set. All the heads came off.
See, Will and I are very well versed in heads coming off of statues, which is why we just can't buy this one.
Or we're due to be beheaded someday, and this is all foreshadowing.
True.
He walks up to a refrigerator and says, "Sir, are you the one that broke the head off that statue?"
I don't remember that.
He's talking about a spirit that they saw behind it, but he walks up to the fridge and says it. And then they talk to Seth Rogen at the end, who's dressed like a priest.
I didn't think that guy looked like Seth Rogen.
He looked exactly like a Seth Rogen character who says, "You guys are playing with fire. I'm an exorcist, and I would be ready to perform an exorcism." I'm like, yeah, I'm a plumber. I'd be ready to clean your pipes. I'm ready to plunge your toilet.
I'm ready to do my job at a moment's notice.
Yeah. So those are my Hoke moments.
Yeah. Okay. My Hokiest moment was when Zach sees a screaming face on some water stains on a wall when they walk into that building where the well is. He's like, "Oh my God, do you see that?"
That's a good one.
And it's just like, it's like when you look at clouds and they can look like a donkey or like anything. They zoom in on it and they try to explain where he saw the eyes, and I saw nothing. But I will say, even though it's my Hokiest moment, the guy did say this area is called the Room of Faces.
Yeah, which was weird.
I guess it means that people see faces in these water stains on the walls a lot.
I have to imagine. Now, the guy calls out that it's called the Room of Faces after Zak Bagans claims to have seen a face.
Right.
Did he do research to make sure that he could prompt this conversation?
Yes.
They zoom in on that water stain. I don't see a face at all.
No, I didn't see anything.
And unlike clouds, that wall is not moving and undulating. It's like that old QVC clip where that guy goes, "Look at that horse." It's a butterfly.
Like I'm just
Sure.
frankly not seeing it.
I'm just going along with the ride, whatever you say, sir.
All I'm seeing is the water stain. All right, Will, this one I think we are both going to have a lot for.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's
Most
true.
dramatic moments.
Most dramatic moment.
There are a lot.
Yes.
But they're all pretty damn good.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I was typing away like nobody's business.
Completely. I don't want to just run through my list again or anything like that. Tell me Tell me yours.
Oh boy, this is hard. All right. So when they first enter lockdown, and something else I thought was interesting, they carried this over from the documentary. I don't think that this is a thing in modern day ghost adventures, or maybe they just don't put as fine a point on it. They really put a lot of emphasis on the fact that they were being locked down for the night in this location. Like the owner of it locks them in and stuff.
I love that.
It's cool. And I don't think that happens now. I think the structure is a little bit different now in a couple of ways, actually. I think that in this first episode, at least, and this could change by the time the next episode comes, for all I know, because it's a pilot episode, but I think that they spent more time on being with the people who are in these locations on the regular, talking about their experiences, than they do in modern day. I think that they talk to people modern day, but they spend a lot of time on the investigation and all the bombastic, crazy things that happen.
Yeah.
I think they were a little bit more focused on the history and real lifeness of it all in this episode than they are now.
I think that makes sense, though, because you even look at the equipment that they had, and it was an EMF reader, voice recorders, and night vision cameras.
Right.
I've seen more modern stuff where they have, like, that spectrograph that
Yes.
can show, like, little dancing stick figures.
Yeah, it's like the SLR camera. I
Right.
think that's what that is.
Yeah, and the spirit voice box thing,
Right.
they didn't have as much tech, so the investigation side maybe gets a ding.
That's true. There's less to investigate in a way because you can't dive in quite as deeply.
Yeah.
And then also in this first episode, they placed X's on places that seem to be hot spots that they wanted to investigate later with like duct tape.
Yeah.
I guess you just saw a little bit more of the background of stuff as opposed to like cameras on, let's do this thing.
I liked it.
I did too.
They
and
even
I
made
also,
a point of being like, it's just the three of us now. There's no
Yes.
one but the three of us, which made me think, listen, we've been doing Guide to the Unknown. We've got 130 some odd episodes as of this recording. You and I have done some ghost hunting.
Yeah.
As yet to be released publicly, at least. But we've done some ghost hunting. Kristen, you and I are one person short of having all the crew needed to
my
make
God.
an episode of Ghost Adventures.
Oh my God.
Or the Guide to the Unknown equivalent.
Get Nick Groff on the phone.
Nick Groff,
He's not
if
with
you're
them
out
anymore.
there,
Yeah.
we need you, pal.
Come on, bud.
Now more than ever. We need you.
Okay, so most dramatic moments. I got off track because this happens right when they're in lockdown. They walk in and Nick says, "You want to do harm to us? Do harm to Zach." And he goes, "Right here for you."
Oh my God, that was great. That was one of the first ones that I wrote down. There are multiple times that they target Zach, and then later in the episode, Zach goes like, "Why are you doing this to me? Scratch them." And he goes, "Why don't you scratch Aaron's forehead?"
I have the quote. He says,
What?
"I want to talk to the piece of ass who came and scratched me on my back 25 different times. Why you gotta do it on my back? Do it on my face. Scratch Aaron's forehead. Why's it gotta be me?
Why me?
Why's it gotta be me?"
Aaron gives no reaction.
Aaron is a much smaller part of this than he is in modern day Ghost Adventures.
I'm used to far more zoom-ins of his face with his eyes wide.
Me too, because he's behind the camera in this. I think that his function really changed because in episode 0 of this show, during the documentary, he was so scared to go somewhere, he didn't join them on one of their trips. He seemed to be genuinely weirded out by the paranormal. In this, he's not an investigator, really. He's there to film them. And I guess naturally over the course of this, it's not surprising. Maybe he got more interested in it and wanted to do more. But also, I will say, Aaron is an electric on-screen presence.
Oh,
so they
yes.
did a very good service just for the quality of the show by having him on.
It'll be fun to see him get more and more of the spotlight.
Yes. One of my, no. It's a favorite quote. I'll wait. Aaron has a
Okay.
favorite quote of mine. William, let's go back and forth with our most dramatic moments. Why don't you hit me
Okay,
with one of
because
yours?
I couldn't help but write down a bunch.
Me too.
Okay. So so they go through they're trying to find that well where the woman's decapitated head was supposedly thrown to wash it out to the river.
Right.
The well itself is blocked, so they have to go outside and find the entrance from the river, and they climb through the sewer to try to get back underneath the well.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, maybe dramatic's not the right word, but in terms of like actually being cinematic and interesting and doing something that's pretty extreme. I've never climbed through a sewer.
No, and they were really, it was tight in there.
It was
the sewer
creepy
thing
looking.
is one of mine too. They weren't quite at like Bruce Willis and Die Hard levels, but they were really, really crouched down, going pretty far down this well or this sewer or whatever.
It was really kind of cool, and it gave me a little bit of claustrophobia. Not quite as much as
wasn't too bad for
that
me.
moment in Blair Witch 2016 where
I
she's
hate
squeezing through that dirt tunnel.
I actually, I dread that part coming.
That's a hard watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not quite that, but
No.
it was really exciting to see and really frightening.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very dramatic and very fun, albeit ridiculous, when Nick ran screaming from the men's restroom, yelling, "I went to take a piss. This effer banged on the wall twice," losing his mind, talking about how he didn't get to button his fly yet. And it's one of the first classic Ghost Adventures moments where the camera is going all kerflooey and you know something crazy has happened.
It was awesome, and Zach started going like, "No, we do not run from this. We are not running from you.
Oh.
Are you trying to scare us?" It's like so big.
Yes.
So big.
Yes, absolutely.
One of my top moments here is when Zach goes up to the rafters to try to go to Joanna's room. And what he calls out is not, I guess it is aggressive, but it's just a weird kind of aggression. It's a different kind of aggression from Bagans. He goes, "Johanna, are you in here? I'm in your secret room right now, sweetie."
Oh, yeah.
It's like, sweetie.
Yeah, you don't hear him get soft a lot.
I don't like that.
But
but even if it was sweetie as an aggressive move, I don't like that either.
I thought
right?
he was trying to like comfort her.
Oh no! See, I think it's all about taunting. I think it's all about like being like aggressive and surprising. The ghosts are not used to this stuff.
It usually is, but to me, I thought in that moment, that he was being a little bit like, okay, this is a lady ghost.
Right.
Lady ghosts are softer. I need to take a slightly different approach with this one.
Maybe.
Which is its own kind of like not great.
I know.
But still, I thought he was kind of not in a mean way, but like condescending a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
all right, sweetie.
Well, I think either
the other
ways,
ones can take it.
Yes.
But Johanna, we have to sweetie her.
Gotta be nicer.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, can I dovetail into my last dramatic
By all
moment then?
means.
Because I think off of this, the point of being so big, when Zak Bagans gets scratched on his back, and I know we'll talk about that more later, but he gets scratched on his back, his reaction is to refuse to back down. And so he runs at that refrigerator screaming at it, "You must be thinking, wow, look how tough this guy is. I scratched him and he's still coming for more."
Yep.
It's like, yeah, everything that he does is tightly constructed to shock the ghost.
Yes.
I love these
Yes, it's
speaking
like-
truth to powerness.
Yes, it's like a tactic.
The living
know?
as an underdog against these spirits is very odd to me. People who've killed each other and taken their own lives. but still, it's interesting.
You're absolutely right. And really watching this one and maybe having a little bit more context of him as a person, because I have become a fan and I find him a real sweetie in real life, it did make me feel like not just that he's playing a character, although that's part of it, but that there is a flavor of like, it's a results driven thing.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, Will. Best quotes. Why don't I kick this off?
Please do.
This is something that I know you and I enjoyed right off the bat because Will has written it behind him on a whiteboard that's just kind of guiding our journey as we record this for you guys, giving us strength. After Zach is this is before they're in the investigation. Zach is talking with the people who work at Bobby Mackey's world and, getting their experiences. And he asks them what they think the ghosts are going to think about them invading their space and doing this investigation. Are they going to be mad? Whatever. And the staff member says that he thinks the spirits are going to be curious about them. Like, why are they here doing this? And the guy is just kind of like singing in a sort of mellow way. And then Zach really like ups the ante, ups the aggression real fast. He says, "I want to provoke the hell out of them." Like the guy's like, "I think they'll be curious." He's like, "I'm going to provoke the hell out of them." And kind of escalates them. And he also says, "I'll provoke the S out of them."
Oh, I love it. I have the full quote. Can I read it?
Yes, please.
"I want to provoke the hell out of them. I want to stand up to them. I mean, who the hell are they? Who are these spirits to be bullies and to possess you? I want to taunt the hell out of them. I want to provoke them, give them a taste of their own medicine, and see what happens when we do that."
See what happens when we do that.
Just see what happens. Literally poke a bear
That's all
just to
you can
see.
do.
And the guy responds and goes, "I want you to do that." And Zak goes, I'll provoke the ship out of them.
Yeah.
I will. It's like real tough. Real tough. He also...
And the guy isn't matching his energy at all, which is funny. The guy's like, I want you to do that.
I want you to do that.
Yeah, and he's like,
okay,
I will.
Then do it.
Okay.
Then fine.
Yeah. Well,
okay,
I will.
then I am.
Yeah.
It's Wayne's World.
Yeah, totally.
I have here at one point when they're talking about the... Because this place is known as Hell's Gate.
Right.
Right. So they're in the basement. They're talking about the well, which is supposed to be that portal. And Bagans says, if this is the portal to hell, then why don't you come up out of that ground and come and stop us? Come up out of that ground. It just didn't flow.
Yeah, you're right.
Great.
It reminds me of what we said on the show last week, the quote from the Modern Day episode where he said, I feel an impending doom is our immediate fate.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Impending and immediate are kind of opposite. Mm-hmm. So if they're coming out of hell, they're not really coming out of the ground.
An impending doom is our immediate fate. Why don't you... Is this a portal to hell? Why don't you come on up out of that ground?
Yeah, not come up out of hell.
Yeah, it's weird. It also reminded me of, I'm eating junk and watching rubbish. You better come out and try to stop me. Yeah. Which is what Kevin McAllister says when he doesn't know if his family's really missing or not in Home Alone.
Right. Okay, my next one, I have two more and I want to save the best for last. My next one is, I think this is right when they start the lockdown. He says, my name is Zak. I got Aaron and Nick with me. And you know what? We don't fear any of you.
You know
Coming
what?
in hot, letting them know what's going on. I find the you know what funny because it's kind of conversational.
Oh, it's great. It's great. When they go into lockdown, also, I guess right around that moment, he goes, I think you're nothing but a bunch of evil cowards.
Oh, yeah, that's
right. All you guys are.
You guys.
Evil cowards.
Evil cowards. All right, well, here's my last one. I don't know if this moment stood out to you, but it really stood out to me. It's 5 seconds at most. When they are in that sewer and they're leaving, they went into it, they looked up to see where...
I think I know what you're talking about, yeah.
They looked up to see where it kind of connects to the gateway to hell in the building. They're done, they're walking out, and they go to a... I'm laughing looking at the quote. They go to a shot of Aaron. Rather than like, I don't know, like they have been kind of like duck walking, like when you're playing Duck, Duck, Goose around this sewer for the most part because it's really tight. But Aaron has now transitioned to standing up, but then spreading his legs out really far to get out and waddling that way instead.
Yeah.
And he goes... He goes, oh no, run! It's so nasty! While like waddle running.
Because it's a stinky sewer.
It wasn't the first time he had said something about the smell, but whatever he said previously wasn't funny enough to really note. But oh, run! It's so nasty.
Oh my god, it's so funny. But honestly, I love that they left in a stupid moment of them just being grossed out by the stinky sewer. That's great. It was great. Again, I like them as people more than anything in this episode.
I know, me too. All right, our next category is one that may be controversial between the two of us.
Yeah, it's tricky.
We'll see. Tally of how many times Zak Bagans feels aggression/rage.
Feelings.
Right.
Now, this category is born out of modern day Ghost Adventures, where he very regularly says, I feel rage, or he's like, I'm feeling very aggressive.
He's very in tune with his emotions.
Yes.
He knows to call out the fact that this is an experience that's happening to him.
It isn't
But that he
him.
doesn't mean to act aggressive.
Exactly.
I feel aggression.
And the point is that something there is making him feel that aggression. When
Right.
he's saying that, he's saying something, some entity is affecting him.
Simultaneously, very emotionally open,
Yes.
while also something that can never be proven.
No.
I feel
perfect-
aggression all of a sudden.
A perfect combination.
Yes.
So, Will, for this one, I put 0. Because if we're judging it by that standard, that something has taken him and he now feels aggression, he feels rage because of this entity, that didn't happen in this episode. There's a general aggression, obviously, just in the way he approaches all of this, but not in the way that we've defined it.
I agree. I think that we need to be scientists here, though, and
Exactly.
realize that if our tools are not properly measuring what we're experiencing, then we need to modify our tools to adapt to the situation. So I hereby propose, record this in the minutes, that we change the name of this category from tally of how many times Zak feels aggression or rage to Zak has feelings. Because by that category, I have us at 2.
Yes.
Because
Great.
there twice
Well-
did he suddenly feel lightheaded.
Wait, though.
Okay.
I hear you and I'm willing to talk about this.
Okay.
I feel Zak has feelings impinges upon the list of bodily injuries sustained because while not an injury, he felt dizzy, and I found that to be a physical body effect. It's more, if we did a motion check,
Right.
where it's not that he feels dizzy, I still feel that's a physical thing. If he says how he feels emotionally, I think we can change the category from aggression to rage to something that fits into.
I will rebut with the following.
Okay.
Fully respecting everything you're saying
Sure.
and agreeing on its face.
Okay.
I think that the category breaks down thusly. Things that happen to Zak. And there are two subcategories. Things that can never be proven or verified. And things that we can see, which are injuries. We can see that his skin has been scratched. We cannot see that he is lightheaded. We cannot see that he feels aggression.
Okay. How do we name this though?
We may have to meditate on the actual phrasing of it, but how
Right.
do you feel about that? The
feel
umbrella
good about
category
that.
is things that happen to them,
Yep.
and there are verifiable injury versus unverifiable feelings.
I feel good about that.
Okay.
I feel good about that.
Okay.
It's less funny. I like us pointing out that it's number of times he feels aggression or rage. Maybe this is something that we can edit in the future.
I think it's
when
gonna
that
be
becomes
exciting.
more of a thing.
That's possible too. I'm very willing to come back and revisit our categorization here on out.
This is a living, breathing
It is.
thing. I
We're
mean,
alive.
do high school yearbooks keep the same superlatives year after year? Because maybe in the 70s they were like grooviest dude.
Right. I've
then
been
in the
grooviest dude
90s,
at East
it-
Brunswick High School for like 12 years running now.
Right. Well, but I bet they called it coolest dude in the 90s. So let's move with things the way that they would. We can change our language around
Okay,
this.
fair enough.
Okay, I'm into that.
Yes.
I'm
Plus,
into
think
that.
about how exciting it's going to be the first time we hear him say, I feel aggression.
Yes, we're like, oh, it's on, baby.
Here we are.
All
We've
right.
made it.
It's time to evolve.
Looks like we made it.
Looks like we made it. Okay, so for now,
I place it at 2 that we have unverifiable feelings
Yes.
of lightheadedness.
Yes.
Though I also want to point out, and I thought this was very interesting for an episode 1 statement on Zak Bagans' part, he says he doesn't like going by feelings.
oh, yes, I know.
Calls out the fact that it's, like, I read it to be that he also feels like what I just said, this is an unverifiable,
Right.
who could ever corroborate the way that you feel.
Right. But I think, while I hear that, and that's exactly, it can't be proven or anything, I think feelings are important in this.
I agree.
I think that, obviously that gives you more credence, but I think you got to listen to your gut and intuition and feelings. And maybe he got more comfortable with that as the show went on.
I
Maybe
also
when this
agree.
started, he felt like he needed to prove something, that he's not just being a huckster or whatever. So we need to give people proof. And later he was like, we got to use all our tools, and that includes our feelings.
Yes, and I also think that ghosts, if they are real, appear
Right.
to be imprints of emotion.
Right.
Like-
I mean, it's like all feelings.
yeah. Mhm.
Yep. Okay, great.
Okay.
So, for things we can't prove, it's him being dizzy twice.
Yes.
For things that we can prove and that we did see, somehow he did get scratches on his back.
There are
3
real
scratches
long,
going down.
like a 3-fingered hand.
Yes.
Scraping right down the center of his back.
Right down. He said that, okay, this is also funny too. I don't know if you caught this. It starts off us being alerted to this, that he says he feels a burning feeling on his back, and he turns around toward the camera, toward Aaron, and he says, no, it isn't a tingle. So I wonder if Aaron said, is it a tingle?
Oh, I definitely caught that. It's not a tingle, it's like a little burning.
Right.
That's what he said. It's not a tingle, it's like a little burning.
If that's not a tingle.
little
Maybe
burning.
a tingle is cooler and
I think a tingle is somebody going like doo-doo-doo
yeah.
on your back.
Tingle's kind of a tickle.
Yeah.
So that is, bodily harm that we saw with our own eyes. Did that come from an entity there? Who knows?
Who can say?
Who's to say? But we did see it with our own eyes.
And of course, the primary reaction is that, and we could actually maybe put this in the former category. His reaction is not one of fear. He says it pisses him off.
He's pissed. Also, it makes him dizzy.
Yeah. Why don't you come out here and do it to one of them? He says about his friends.
I know. He totally threw them under the bus with these ghosts.
Yeah.
Got a little defensive. Okay, this is one that we're also really going to see evolve. It doesn't feel as significant in this first episode. And I was worried for a second. I was like, you know what? Is this even a category we should have? So I Googled Zak. This category is Bagans' wardrobe check.
Bagans wardrobe check.
I Googled Zak Bagans fashion. after I watched the episode to be like, is this even something we need? Because he was dressed kind of normal. He does kind of play with fashion a little bit later. So we do need it. Yeah. But in this first episode, it's not too crazy.
Muted.
What'd you say?
Muted.
A muted palette. We first see him wearing a tight V-neck, no glasses, very baggy pants, gelled up hair. He doesn't wear a gas mask at any point during this, which is a change. I noted that later on in the episode, he puts on a baggy kind of like workman's jacket. I wrote perhaps a Dickies. I didn't see a patch, so that's unconfirmed. When they do their investigation later, he changes to a long-sleeved shirt. Then when he meets with the priest, he is wearing all black, nothing super notable except for the accessories, where now he's added a belt with a big buckle and a silver necklace. William, did you notice anything else?
Kristen, I noticed the exact same things as you. I'm looking out for when he finally has his like hair super gelled up in that faux hawk, fingerless gloves, big thick rimmed glasses. I'm really excited for all that stuff. I was stunned to see us here at the beginning, not unlike a video game character at the beginning of their journey who's going to acquire all these power-ups and additions on the way, new equipment. He's wearing a black t-shirt, dark pants, and no accessories.
I will say the proportions are of note. When we first meet him, his t-shirt is very tight. It's a V-neck, and his pants are very big.
Yes.
Later on, he goes for a more form-fitted sort of style overall, I would say. He also does some interesting stitch work later on. Sometimes there's a contrast stitching, always black, maybe some affliction shirts, but right now we're keeping it muted.
Okay. You clearly know more than I do.
I Googled it because I was like, oh, is this even a thing? And I was like, oh, it's a thing.
Oh, I've seen some styles on this guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so here we are at our final big category of our process as it presently sits.
Yes.
Number of times smack talk got results.
That's right.
Smack talk.
Now, I listed 4 things here, kind of.
I actually have 2.
2? Mm-hmm. Mine are sort of like precursors to things actually happening, but I felt like they really were. They led off to something occurring. So he does say early on, "Come and harm me." And there's a voiceover from him saying, "I would later regret that command." Now, never later does a voiceover come back to go like, "See? Like, remember when I told them to come harm me? I got these scratches." It's just early on, "Come and harm me. I would regret that command." And then later on, he gets 3 scratches. He's like, "Ew, what the hell? Why'd you do that to me?"
Oh, yeah. He also, like...
Why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, when he gets the scratches first time, he says it kind of like that. Yeah. His voice goes up like he's scared. It's really good.
It hurts so bad.
It did seem to hurt really bad. He keeps being like, "It's burning again."
It didn't look good.
Yeah, it didn't look great. I have here the moment when he was screaming at Ghost to stop running. Mm-hmm. A moment I'm not totally clear on.
No, he was yelling at Nick to stop running. This was in the bathroom when he couldn't button up his fly. A ghost did something.
No. Because then he may have been yelling at Nick, but he switches to Ghost because I have the quote, "Do not run from this. We're not running from you."
Oh, no.
So I don't know if they...
Are you sure you have the inflection right? Because I thought of it as...
I'm not sure.
We're not running from you. I thought that he was chastising Nick Groff. Because Nick really looked to be peacing out of that bathroom. First he was peacing, then he was peacing out. He got the hell out of there.
Did you say he was peeping and then he was peacing out?
He was peacing.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha.
So I thought that it was Bagans being like, "No, we are not going to run from this. We make our stand now. We do not run from this," which I really think was putting Nick in his place. That's how I read it.
I first thought that, and then because of that quote, I thought he was yelling at the ghost. I couldn't tell what the hell was going on at that part, to tell you the truth.
It was chaos.
That was absolute chaos. It was a melee. The camera was all over the place. Yeah. So I can't stand with the courage of my convictions with that.
Yeah.
Not sure.
So we sort of mushed some of my moments in there. But I do want to also just point out that there was another quote about 20 minutes into the episode where Zak points out his methodology. He says, "We knew taunting would be the best way to draw out these spirits."
Right.
And, if you're to believe the events of the episode, that is exactly what happened.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Completely. I mean, that's what I was going to say. They kind of guess that Zak is the one who got scratched because he's the one who's talking the most smack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So it seemed to have gotten results.
So there you go. Our awards.
That's right.
Do you have any final thoughts, Kristen, on episode 1 of Ghost Adventures?
I think that I kind of put in my extra thoughts in the course of us talking during the episode.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. My final thought is that I'm looking forward to more. And I'm glad that we're going on this adventure.
Yeah, I have two stray thoughts that I just didn't really get to address. There is one, of course, the refrigerator that Zak Bagans really uses his power on.
Yes.
Sir, was it you? Talking to a fridge. They catch an image of a shadow person behind this refrigerator later in the episode. It is a very clearly shadow of a head and shoulders, and it moves from right to left a little bit. And I thought that was kind of cool and spooky looking, even if it's, even if it turns out to be Aaron back there rooting around.
Poking around.
Yeah. But the thing that I forgot to mention and should have been at the top of my Hokiest moment category, they zoom in on the shadow figure and put a circle around it, and they go, but it wasn't until we looked at the footage later that we could tell that it clearly was wearing a cowboy hat.
Oh, yeah, I know. And I was like, did we establish? I mean, I get that this is Kentucky, but it also hasn't been established that, like, these ghosts wore cowboy hats. So it just didn't mean that much to me.
Didn't mean anything
I was
to
like,
me
okay.
whatsoever. It seemed like a stretch.
Yes.
And blatantly not true.
Yes.
I did not see a cowboy hat, I felt.
No, nor I.
And the other thing, I just want to sort of like bring this home with the idea that Bobby Mackey's music world is still said to be one of the most haunted places on the planet.
Yeah.
Zak Bagans, apparently, they will revisit this place in future episodes. And Bagans is quoted as saying that it's one of the top 10 most haunted places of all time. I really liked some of the lead-in interviews that he did with people from the club.
I did too. I really liked more emphasis on that stuff.
It was fun. It was a little bit of history, even if it's all word of mouth.
Right.
And by the way, I should say this. I want to put it in our show notes for this episode. I found a source that really debunks, just about all of this. It's from doubtfulnews.com.
Okay.
And so they basically go through all of the Bobby Mackey story to be like, listen, that murder, the Scott Jackson and Alonzo Walling killing of Pearl Bryan didn't happen at that place. They did not throw her head in the well. It's said to have been thrown over the bridge.
Okay.
They did not say when they were being hung that they were going to come back and haunt this place forever.
I did not think that happened.
Their
That's
final
not
words-
a surprise to me at all.
Their final words, as a matter of fact, were, "I'm innocent."
Oh, God. That's
Yeah.
like the opposite.
I know.
Practically.
They sort of blamed each other at the end, it seems. I read a little bit into it, but it's not really the focus of this show.
Yeah.
The Johanna story
Yeah.
is what I really want to drive to, is said to maybe not even be real at all. There was no Johanna.
Yes.
Having said that, the story of a singer from the club who took her own life because her mobster father killed her lover, I found kind of interesting and kind of quaint and familiar from other ghost stories that we've maybe covered on Guide to the Unknown.
Right.
Or just seen in pop culture.
Right.
But the thing that I loved about it most as presented on Ghost Adventures was that Zak Bagans sits down to speak with Bobby Mackey himself, who is a country musician, who wrote a song about
Yes.
Johanna, and they play a few seconds of it, not
Right.
long. I presume that this is the chorus, but it was really sort of charming, and the lyrics. And I'm not a country music fan, but the lyric that they played in particular was, "Johanna, Johanna, where are you now? Could it be that you're still here somehow?"
Yeah.
And I found it really interesting and charming and a little spooky.
It added some color.
Emotional.
Too. Like, there's a real history with these people in this place with this story of this haunting.
Yeah. And I just like the phrasing of it in particular, too. Where are you now? Could it be you're still here somehow?
Yeah.
She's lingering on. And, from a musical perspective, you could say that it's, metaphorical.
Sure.
Maybe she's still lingering in your mind. But on Ghost Adventures, that song's about a ghost.
I think that it's meant to be about a ghost.
Yeah. I don't know. My point is really that you could read it either way.
Yes.
But there you go.
There you go, guys.
Season 1, Episode 1 of Ghost Adventures. Decoded or commented upon by us here on Ghost Adventures.
Yeah, offered a little commentary, I guess,
Yeah.
for it. So thank you so much for listening, for watching. You can find us everywhere online at GTTU Pod. You can join our Facebook group. It's the Guide to the Unknown Secret Society. We're going to be talking about all this stuff in it because
Yep.
it's all in the same world. It's all spooky stuff. We've talked about Zak Bagans and Ghost Adventures a ton of times on Guide to the Unknown proper. So we feel like it all lives under the Guide to the Unknown umbrella.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. And welcome over here to all of our
Yeah.
Guide to the Unknown listeners.
Yes, I hope you guys liked it.
Yeah. Some of you have gotten a sneak peek at the fact that their show exists at all.
That's right.
By backing us on patreon.com/GTTUpod. If you go there and you back us at the $4 level, that is called the Netherworld Warrior level. You can always change that 4 to something more if you're interested. People get little sneak peeks of things, little peeks behind the curtain, little bonus shows.
Yeah.
And one of them was the Ghost Adventures episode 0, as we call it.
Right.
All about the original Ghost Adventures documentary. That's been up there for a long, long time.
Yeah, months at least.
Yeah, along with an entire bonus podcast that you only get on patreon.com/GTTUpod called The Netherworld Dispatch. So for all of you who are brand new to the world of Guide to the Unknown, definitely go check that place out if you've enjoyed this episode. And to all of you, friends old and new,
Yes.
this is officially a new podcast with a new feed. And that means that we've got all those old familiar problems. Please consider going to Apple Podcasts and leaving us a 5-star review to let us know what you think of this show. What are you excited to see in the future? We're really excited to be doing this show and to be able to grow and learn and change with it as we go to keep it exciting and fun as we watch everything that Zak Bagans has ever done. Seemingly.
Yeah, so please comment, please leave us a review so that other people can find the show more easily. Let us know what you think about it because we're excited about it and we really hope that you're excited about it. And we want to keep it going. So please help us do that.
Yeah, watch the show along with us and get excited for what we're going to do about future episodes.
That's right. So let me leave you with this. This is what's going to happen on the next episode of Ghost Adventures Adventures. We are going to break down episode 2 of Ghost Adventures about, I'll find out how to pronounce this when we watch the show, the Houghton Mansion of North Adams, Massachusetts. And I'll give you just a snippet of what that episode is going to be about from Wikipedia. The crew investigates the Houghton Mansion, which is said to be one of the most haunted locations in New England. The Ghost Adventures crew come across some shadows and members of the Houghton family and beyond during this episode.
Ooh, more shadows.
Ooh, I think we're going to have shadows aplenty.
No more cowboy hats. Now it's going to be
New England, yeah.
New England clam chowder. So everybody look forward to that coming out soon from us here on Ghost Adventures Adventures. You can keep up to date with everything we're doing by following at GTTUpod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And you can also follow us individually.
That's right. I'm at Chillin' Kristen on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
I am at The Myth Traveler. So come back next time as we watch and discuss Season 1, Episode 2 of the show so that you can join us on our Ghost Adventures Adventures.